If you're watching this video, then you're probably considering buying a pellet grill, and you're wondering if a pellet grill is the right grill for you. Well, in this video, I'm going to go over everything you need to know, a beginner's guide. We're going to discuss things like which brand to consider, what type of pellet grill you should buy, what you should do when you first get your pellet grill home, and at the end of the video, a general pros and cons versus gas grills and charcoal grills. Let's dive in. So when first buying a pellet grill, what should you look out for? I would consider brands and companies both overseas and domestic here in the United States. There's a lot of pellet grill companies out there. Some of them are better than others. But you're also going to find a lot of cheaper alternatives that may seem like a good value up front, but they're actually not. Some great brands to consider, and some very popular brands, are brands like Traeger, which are probably the most popular pellet grill manufacturer out there. You also have Camp Chef, which has entered the pellet grill market in their own little unique way. And then you have great companies like Green Mountain or Z Grills, and even a company that you're probably seeing floating around like Pit Boss. The one that I have here is made by Brisket, and they're actually a new pellet grill manufacturer, but they offer a lot for the price. And this particular one is a fully automated AI grill, a smart grill. And that's the other thing that I would consider. Do you want a automated smart grill with AI features like this one and pay a little bit more? Or do you not necessarily care about Wi-Fi controls or having a smart grill or an AI grill, and maybe you're just looking for bare bones? You'll save a little bit money up front. But also, there's a lot of pros to having a smart grill and having all those wireless controls, because they also usually come with a fantastic app that's really going to help you gain a lot more confidence when it comes to pellet grilling. And the last thing I would consider is the size. This one in particular comes in at about 590 square inches, if I remember correctly, and honestly that's a pretty medium size. But there's pellet grills that come a lot larger, and if you're going to be cooking a lot and for a lot of people, really large items like briskets and whole, ribs and things like that, then consider getting a larger grill. So what should you do when you first bring your grill home? Well, most manufacturers will recommend that you prime your auger, and most manufacturers will have their own specific instructions for doing that. With the brisket grill, it's really easy. It's all in the app. You can actually prime your auger, and then the next step is actually doing a manufacturer burn-off, all in the app. Well, burn-off is basically your chance to burn off all the shipping chemicals when your grill was shipped over to you. They basically packed it with grease and other shipping chemicals to prevent it from rusting and keep it in tip-top shape. You don't want that in your food. So doing an initial burn-off ensures that you burn all that stuff off. But from my personal experience, it's also a good idea to wipe down the grill and wash and clean with soap and water whatever components you can actually take out of the grill. So, for example, the diffuser plate or the deflector plate, I found is usually really soaked in shipping grease, and an initial burn off doesn't always burn off all of the grease the first time. So I just take that out and I wash it in the sink, and then I usually just wash the grates as well and put all that stuff back in. Everything else will burn off as I do the burn off anyways. But yeah, refer to your particular manufacturer. Each company has their own procedure, but typically a burn off is the highest setting you can go for about 20 to 30 minutes, and just let it sit there until everything smokes away, and you'll see a lot of smoke. And then once the smoke kind of settles down, then you know you've burnt off all of the manufacturing grease and you can get to cooking. Priming the auger is as simple as just letting the auger do its thing. It's usually automated, something that you press and the grill will take care of everything for itself, but it's basically priming the pellets and getting the auger and firebox ready for you. The next thing you want to do is pick your fuel source. Now, pellet grills can only take on pellets. That's basically all the options that you have, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're limited to flavors. Every pellet grill manufacturer out there will have different types of pellets that you can choose from. Generally speaking, they're almost equivalent to the type of woods that you can choose if you were just doing straight wood smoking or charcoal smoking. But basically, all of the main wood flavors should be available to you. Mesquite, pecan, oak, apple, that should all be available to you. And sometimes you can buy them individually. Most times you can buy them individually. Like, for example, brisket, for example, carries my favorite, which is oak. And sometimes manufacturers will have a mix of pellet flavors that are all in one, which is aimed towards beginners and people that don't necessarily yet know how to smoke or which pellet wood flavors they like. So Traeger is kind of famous for this. I think Traeger will combine like apple, I want to say mesquite, maybe oak, something like that, but some sort of a combination, a catch-all to help you get going with pellet grilling. Something to look out for, however, is automated doesn't necessarily mean automatic. You still need to monitor your cooks. You still need to monitor your food. So I highly recommend investing in a wireless thermometer or a thermometer in general to completely monitor the entire cooking process. Now, most pellet grills like this brisket will come with their own wired probes. This one comes with 2. And it works extremely well because it goes to the controller. And this particular grill, as I said, is a Smart A.I grill. So everything's being fed to the controller and the entire process is really being controlled by the grill. Now, even though the grill is handling the majority of your cooking process, like adjusting the temperatures for you, it's not handling the entirety of the cooking process. You still need to flip the food. You still need to keep an eye on things. You still need to, I don't know, wrap it if you need to wrap it, if you're doing a brisket or whatever. There's still some human intervention. So, although a pellet grill is very automated, it's not completely automatic, right? It's not going to magically make the food for you. Okay, now let's talk about A.I Smart Grills, like the brisket grill behind me. By the way, I did a complete video reviewing this grill if you're interested. It's a fantastic grill and I highly recommend it. Automated smart grills are fantastic because, like I said earlier, they usually come with a great app. I highly recommend you take advantage of the app. There's so many great recipes, and as a beginner, they're great guides on how to use a pellet grill or barbecue in general. And as you gain experience and confidence, you can change those recipes. Some of the best food I ever made was based off of app recipes that I then customized and manipulated into fantastic food. The next thing you got to keep in mind is keep your grill clean. You want to make sure your deflector plate or diffuser plate, your grates, your firebox are clean. It's going to reduce the risk of any flare-ups or grease fires. It's also going to keep your food tasting clean. You don't want your salmon to taste like last week's pork butt, for example. So keeping your grill maintained not only gives you the best possible results, but it also keeps it in tip-top shape. And it's a safety issue, right? If your grill is filthy and dripping of grease, that's a problem. So take care of your grill, it's going to take care of you. Okay, so now let's talk about some of the pros and cons of pellet grills. Let's start off with the pros. First being, they're really easy to use and they're really easy to smoke with. If you've never barbecued before or you're intimidated, a pellet grill is a great grill to start off with because it basically takes care of a lot of the guesswork for you. And it's almost set it and forget it. A lot of people really want that barbecue taste, right? That smoky barbecue taste. But they're not sure how to do it quite yet. A pellet grill will get you there. And you're only going to keep learning after that. And you might eventually feel like you've outgrown a pellet grill. You still got a really good foundation to start with. The next biggest pro is they're usually Wi-Fi and smart grill equipped. And that's a huge pro for a lot of people. So most of the pellet grills on the market will have some sort of at least Bluetooth connectivity where you can monitor things Bluetooth wise. But I highly recommend you get a grill that's Wi-Fi enabled so you can monitor things from anywhere in the world as long as you have a Wi-Fi connection. And again, a lot of them are smart capable. There's very few that are AI capable right now, but even smart capable grills are fantastic. And you'll be surprised, they're not that much more expensive. And that actually brings me to my next pro. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck with pellet grills. They're usually hovering under $1,000 for most grills. This one in particular, I believe, was on sale not too long ago for $5.99 or $6.99, which is a steal, a fantastic grill. Smart grill, AI enabled, Wi-Fi, holds temperatures very steady. The brisket grill is fantastic, and that's almost unheard of. But of course, you can get the premium models for, let's say, under $1,500. That's still fantastic, considering one of my favorite charcoal grills, the Weber Kamado, with the table, is like $2,000. So pellet grills are a great bang for your buck. And the last pro that I want to mention is they're a little bit more of a set it and forget it mentality. So if you're not really into grilling, you don't want to get dirty, you don't really find it fun on a Sunday afternoon to be in front of a grill and adjusting temperatures and getting smoke blown in your face and things like that, it's a bit more set it and forget it. Lay your food down, run away if you want, and control everything through an app, and you're fine. You're going to get great results. So now let's talk about the cons, starting with that same exact one that we just talked about. For a lot of people, it's a little bit too set it and forget it. So if you're like me and you love barbecuing, it's a little bit more of a hands-off approach, and I'm very much a hands-on type of guy. So you may find it a little bit boring, right? You want to do more, but there's really nothing to do. The pellets are kind of taken care of, right? They move through the auger, they're in the firebox, they ignite, and the app and controller are going to handle all the temperatures for you. So for a lot of people, you may outgrow it fairly quickly. The next con, which is touching up on the last point, is you can only use pellets. Now, there are some exceptions to that rule. Camp Chef, I think, has a pellet smoker now where it has a little firebox where you can actually put wood in, a separate firebox. And you can actually get some wood chunks, put them in there and push it through and actually smoke some wood chunks, which I think is very, very cool. But 90% of the pellet grills on the market, you can't do that. It's just pellets. So you can't put charcoal in here. You can't hook up a propane tank. You can't, burn wood chips or wood chunks or anything like that. Only pellets, and pellets burn very specifically, right? It's not something that you can use with your charcoal. You wouldn't want to use it with your charcoal grill. So pellet grills are only designed to use pellets, and pellets are only designed to be used in pellet grills. One more thing about Camp Chef, I think they also made a gas pellet grill hybrid. I don't know too much about it. I don't know if it's any good, because I remember reading about it a few years ago, but honestly, I've never seen one in the wild in person. So there's variations out there. Another con is smoke intensity. Now, this is very, very dependent on the brand and the quality of the grill that you bought. Some pellet grills, especially the really cheapy ones that are kind of knockoffs of the ones that are really great, they don't really smoke too well, right? Even at the lowest setting, you're not going to get a lot of smoke intensity. But almost every pellet grill that I've had, there's just more effort involved with getting that smoky flavor compared to wood, like on a charcoal grill, for example. Now, some brands, of course, do it better than others. Green Mountain, I know, has a great reputation of really producing good smoke. Z Grills, same thing. Brisket does a great job. Traeger does a fine job. Pit Boss, all of the big brands do a good job nowadays of infusing smoke. And most of them now have this boost feature that adds in a little bit more of a smoky flavor at a certain temperature up front. So it's not impossible, it's just a little bit more effort. The next con that I have for you guys is, and this may be subjective, but typically fuel, pellets, it's kind of expensive. It's a little bit more expensive than, let's say, a charcoal bag or even gas propane. It doesn't really last that long, and I think that's my biggest con with pellet grills if you consider many different things. And for me, at least, I found that a 10-pound bag of pellets doesn't really give me as much cooking time as I would like compared to a propane tank or even a charcoal grill. And I think that has a lot to do with the higher you go up in temperature with pellet grills, the more fuel you're going to be burning, and it's quite a bit more, right? When you're low, everything's fine, but when you're climbing those temperatures, it just takes a lot more energy to maintain those temperatures, like it would with anything else. But the pellets in general just don't seem to be as efficient, maybe? I don't know. And finally, the last con, and this is a huge con, and it's probably a huge con for me, but it doesn't affect me as much because I have so many other grills. I have so many grills in general, but it's probably going to affect you. Pellet grills are not very good at searing. All pellet grills have this issue. It's just the nature of the design. Most pellet grills are going to have a diffuser or a deflector, and because of that, you're never going to get that flame-kissed sear. It's just impossible, right? Now, a lot of the good grills nowadays can get up there in temperature, and you can still get a decent sear, quote-unquote, or browning, but you're never going to get that flame-kissed sear, and that's a huge con. So if after watching this video you've realized that a pellet grill is not the right grill for you, no worries. Maybe consider a gas grill for that ultimate convenience, or a charcoal grill for that ultimate versatility. You're in luck, because I have separate individual videos about gas grills and charcoal grills that are very similar to this video in format. So check those out. I also made a video comparing all three, gas grills, charcoal grills, and pellet grills, but that's more of a beginner's guide to your first grill in general, but it's a good reference as well. I personally own all three, and I see the benefits as well as the cons to each grilling system. But if this video did help you on deciding your next pellet grill, then I am very happy for you, and I wish you all the best and happy grilling. And in general, if you found this video informative, please consider subscribing and joining our channel membership so we can continue making videos like this one. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, everybody.